Look at what I just found. Look at the size of the chunk of metal. Like, are you kidding me? Alright guys, so listening at the celebration of life party for my friend Danny. It was great, we had a good time afterwards. But on the way home, we had major problems. On the way there, I was noticing a couple issues with my bike, being a brand new build. It would be hit or miss with losses of power. I don't think it's anything serious. I honestly just think it's a gasket. Still doing what it's got to do, but I can't work on it at this present moment because I have to go run and do something and pick some stuff up. Also, on the way home, Heather's bike decided to not work and seized up. But all in all, I got to load the trailer up and go grab some stuff that's going to be very cool. So I will talk to you all guys in a little bit. So why I came here today in my cart, I'm going to unzip it. See those two boxes right there? I don't know if you can see it through this. There's two motor boxes here. Two YD100’s. 3 wires. All right, we're going to get it out and really go through it. But main thing here, new motor. Another new motor. One's going on my bike. One's going on Heather's temporarily. The one that's going on her bike will eventually go on my buddy Scott's bike because he got his bike stolen. Or he sold it for crack. I'm honestly not sure. He says he locked it up outside someone's house and it might have got impounded. I don't know why you don't call it the impound. Basically, he lost his bike is what I'm saying. And he could probably get it back if he looked, but it doesn't seem like he wants to for some reason, so I'm not going to argue with that. Shame of it, because it's a really nice frame that it was on. Not a good one, but the frame itself, for a big guy like myself or like him, it's an extra large frame, it's really nice. So instead I'm going to put him on the smallest frame I can possibly find and watch him break it and crack and break his neck. But that's what friends do. Look out for the other one. Anyway, let me get this open up, see what we got going on. I'm going to port it and get it ready to go on the motor hopefully today. So let's see what happens. All right, talk to you in a little bit. All right, I'm just toning in real quick because I'm ripping the motor apart completely. See what is on the end of my finger? This is very gritty. Metal shavings and whatnot. I just pulled it out of there. It's all over the crank. So originally I wasn't going to take this apart, but then I decided, you know what, I want to port match exact to the head since I'm going through all, or the jug, since I'm going through all this work. And now I'm doing it because, are you kidding me? Look at this. So, whatever. We're going to open it up and we're going to clean it all out because this is horrifying. This would have been in there and totally ruined the new motor. Unbelievable. Alright, I'm just showing you as I'm ripping this apart, because obviously now I'm taking it completely apart. Look at what I just found on the magnet. Can't even get it off right now, but brand new motor. Don't even know where it's from. Look at the size of the chunk of metal. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my, that's a tip of a Phillips head screwdriver. They broke their Phillips head screwdriver off in there. That's what that is. Can you guys tell? So I got a piece of a Phillips head screwdriver from China. How cool is that? I was trying to take this nut off so I can get this all apart, and it kept binding up, and I didn't know why. I had enough bind that I didn't even need the wrench in here to hold it like I do. The nut came off, and now I find out why. See how this is almost flush with the plastic? Right here, it's almost flush with the plastic. So there's a little bit more wind on the ones I've noticed with the red wire. There's a little more wind, so I figured I'd point that out since I'm already in here. Alright, let me finish ripping this out. Alright, so I'm still over here by the magneto. This is minutes later. So I took this off. It was on the correct way at 1 o'clock. I flip it over because it was still binding up. Look what's on it. This never even made it into the chuck. Like, it wasn't in the keyway. If I wouldn't have broken this whole motor down, either it would have ran for a little bit and then caused major problems for my buddy, or caused major problems for me immediately, and I'd have been fighting and not knowing what's going on right from the gate. That's crazy. The keyway is literally on the back, and the reason I know it was on the back is because, look, see the rubber? See all the little pieces? Something was rubbing on the rubber sealer bad. And if you look right there, there's a little bit of scratching on the aluminum. So that wasn't even in the keyway. That is crazy to me. I guess it just goes to show you, don't trust China. That sounds really bad. Don't trust your motor is put together correctly or at all in a right way, because it more than likely is not. You probably can't see it, but down inside to this, like directly down where my finger is, there's gray along where the squish would be. That is sand from the mold when this was made. That's the sand from the mold. So that's in the head. That's very common to see on these, but that's still not good to have in your brand new motor that you're trying to break in, because that will guaranteed break it in for you. All right, now it's apart. I'm gonna start cleaning it, and then I'm gonna start porting it and matching it, and I guess we'll just take it from there and see how it goes, right? And I'll let you know how it looks when we're done. I am in the process of putting it back together, obviously, as you can see, I'm sure. The ports are all matched up real nice. I port match the transfers to the actual cylinder. I don't know, it's not as nice as I would like it to be, but if you can see in there, no crosstalk, which is nice. Shouldn't be any crosstalk, you know, straight up, and it shouldn't be. Exhaust port looks good. Not opening it. I'm going for reliability here. I'm not going for insanity, so I'm leaving stuff close to stock and just opening it and clearing the burrs out. Very common in these jugs. Well, I think this is slightly different. I don't know if you can notice, but or how many YDs you guys look at, but this is much more square in this aspect. The corners are less round. On a normal jug, this is smaller from where they pour it in. They must have a new mold, is what I'm getting at. There must be a new mold, because everything's a little bit crisper, honestly. It's a little nicer than normal. So that's good. I'm glad that they're doing things like that. Guys, so I got the motor back together. It's teeter-tottering. This is the bucket or cup I use to hold all the bolts. So I only got a couple extra bolts. That's always good. It's better than normal, right? Usually I got like 10. Never know where they go. I'm going over to put it on the bike. It's going on the bike now. It's time to go. It's going on her bike because her motor's seized up. I didn't even open it up to look at it yet, but that's for another day, another video, a while down the road, because I need to get this on the bike and get it going 100% first. So, alright, I guess I'll tune back in probably once it's fully mounted, or while I'm mounting it. Not sure. We'll figure it out, though. Alright, talk to you in a little bit. Alright, it's almost go time. I got the motor attached to the bike, mounting the exhaust up, and putting the gas tank on, and time to fire her up. Okay, guys, so it is the next day. You can see that the motor is back on my desk. I put it on the bike, and we ran it, and it was hard to start, which is not nice. And it also not able to really keep it idle. It would run well only at higher RPMs, and I'm not much for wanting to run it at high RPMs because it's still breaking in and all that fun jazz. So I'm not sure what's wrong. I'm going to rip the whole motor all the way back down. I'm also going to put 2 base gaskets on it, because this is the first time I've ever seen a YD100 with 1 base gasket. So I'm putting 2 gaskets on it, and we're just going to start from there and see what goes on, you know. But the little bit it did run, when it was in the higher RPMs, it was scooting a little bit. So let's get this thing 100% right and really scoot, because it's going to be a ripper. I can already tell. But at least we did get all that stuff cleaned out of it, and it was doing okay. So I'm happy about that. All right, let's get into it. Sorry I didn't record all that, but it happened so fast, and honestly, when it didn't run right, I got kind of discouraged, and I just brought the bike back in to rip it back down, because we need the bike to start working. Okay, when I am 100% positive about this, what I'm about to tell you. So when I put this motor together originally, it didn't have that piece of hair in it, and I honestly don't know what the technical name for these are. The pins that stop the piston rings gap. It's what keeps it the piston ring from spinning around. Now you could see in here, see right there, It was not like this when I put this together. 100%. This one I'm not sure because I couldn't see that one. But there was not sticking out the hole. It was definitely sticking out here much more, and it was pretty decent where it would stop the actual piston ring. Now, this is the top ring. Look at the difference in the wear right here. And see how it looks like it was riding on an edge right here? Now, when you actually touch that to your hand, you don't feel anything. But it does look like it's shinier right here and not touching or something right here. Now, I didn't run this motor very long, but 100% this ring looked like this. I looked at these carefully. See how this looks totally standard and normal? Now if you look at it, it's hard to tell. See how it's angled down? What I'm thinking happened, and this is the top ring, which has the biggest problem, where the piston ring holder, whatever you call it, that is pushed in the farthest. I think this, maybe when I assembled it, but honestly, like, you could tell when a ring is binding up. There was no binding in the ring, and I was putting the jug on. Like, it went on real smooth and easy. But it's very possible that it was just catching it or something, and first start up, it ended up pushing that in all the way and running right there. Now, I looked in the jug. I see no excessive wear in the jug. Now, mind you, this is the only wear marks I see. But it's not catching. Can't catch it on anything. That's the only spot. And that is where the pin would be, or the ring. So 100%, if I would have kept riding this or trying to make it work, it probably would have ended up just completely blowing up. So that is definitely what I think happened, is this was on there, and what it was basically doing was making it very hard for the engine to run. Because what it was is it was harder to start, 1. 2, once I got it started, as soon as I put any load on it, like let the clutch out, it'd want to stall out, unless I was really revving it up to give it more power. But just letting off at idle, like as soon as you would touch a little bit, like by idle I mean keep my hand on the throttle, it was maybe quarter throttle to half throttle to keep it running, but that was actually a low RPM at half, like in idle. It sounded like idle, but the throttle was actually about quarter to half open. So right there I knew something was wrong. I just thought it was maybe breaking in a little bit. Well, it was breaking for sure. So the ring, I think, was right in there, and what it was doing was causing drag, and that's why it was so hard for it to stay running and keep itself running until I was in the higher RPMs, and then it would start to run much better, because it just had more power to power through what the nonsense was going on. Now, the secondary ring, this is the lower ring. Now, the lower ring, you see the pin? It is sticking here, but I pushed it back through. This was actually in more. But the ring itself, this ring doesn't look abnormally bad, but it does have a slight little bit right here and right there. Maybe it was going back and forth in the thing, and it was, you know, because the top one was messing. I honestly don't know. But it does bother me. However, it doesn't really seem to be a problem. Caught it in time. My biggest issue is, how do I stop these pins from going back in? Because now there's obviously maybe a hole in the back here that wasn't supposed to be here, or the pins are not long enough. Now this pin, I actually pushed it as far in as I could get it, and it still doesn't do any stopping. It doesn't come out here. Now, I didn't think about it, but when I took the motor apart just now and I flipped it over, I found a small, look like a piece of metal Before I knew any of this was happening, it just looked like a small piece of metal, and the reason I know it was metal is I touched this to it, and this is slightly magnetic for some reason, and it picked it up. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Well, how did that get in there? Maybe it just flew in there. But now that I'm thinking about it, it was the same size as this pin. So I think that pin that's down in there now broke off, and that's why, like, you see how much is sticking out, and it's not sticking out at all here. So I'm thinking maybe that might have got broken off. That's what caused the weird wear on this ring and what have you. So whatever, I took it apart. We definitely caught it in time. We'll definitely get her back together and get her ripping again. Okay guys, so this is where I'm at. This pin that goes right in there, that holds the ring from spinning around, and then the edge protruding into a port and pushing outside the piston just a little bit, and then boom, catching the sidewall of one of the ports, and before you know it, you got yourself a nice ruined ring and port. Piston, cylinder, pretty much everything. So basically what that says to me is I need a new one. Now this is short, or I'm honestly not sure what size they make these, but I can tell you that I could see that this size is tapered at the end. I don't know if you could tell. That Allen key I used to punch it out because I wanted something smaller than the hole they already have in the piston. The only thing I can see that is somewhat close and going to be hardened metal is this drill bit. This is 5/64. When I hold it up to it, it looks like about the same size as that. I need to do something that's the same size or slightly bigger. And I think this is slightly bigger, somewhere around there, so it's nice and long. I'm going to taper this side so that it can get hit into this hole, and then since it's slightly bigger, it should be press fit in that hole and not come out, and that will assure that I don't have the rings moving around. So I think I might do 2 of them and just make this piston work, because I think that's what's causing my issues with everything right now. Alright, I'm going to keep working on this and see what I come up with otherwise, but more than likely this drill is going to be sacrificed for the greater good of this piston. This is what I made. Can you guys see the taper? So I'm going to take that point, I'm going to beat it into this, and we're going to hope for the best. That is not coming out. You can see the tip of it sticking out right there. See that tip where the tip of this is? That's the tip of what we just beat in there. That's the end of the drill bit. And it's almost flush with the edge of the piston. I ground it down just a smidgen. Alright guys, it is back together. I did not do the case gasket like I said I was gonna. I did make the 2 new base gaskets, and I put 2 in period. While I had it off the bike, I also tightened the flower nut down a half a turn, because when I did have it running, it felt like it was slipping just the tiniest little bit, so I wanted to do that. But basically I showed you the problem with the rings, and I think that was the real issue. So here's hoping. Okay guys, so this is pretty much day number 3 messing with this motor. Brand new YD100. By far the absolute worst YD100 I ever got out of the box. By far. It is on her bike.